So today we have Jenn, who's one of our software engineers. Jenn, why don't you tell us what you do here?
So I primarily work on the email marketing team. I've been here for about 2.5 years on the team, and I've been doing things like adding components. This is actually email marketing V2, the new updated email marketing. Some of the components I've added are the image group component. So you can add a nice collection of images to your email. Working on the QR code component, that's actually in the works. That's in a process called code review right now, which I guess we'll talk about later. I also sometimes dabble in the social media tags and marketing and the fundraiser stuff for that, because that's kind of under that umbrella.
What's like on your work pipeline?
So I have a couple things that are in progress in that code review process, and I'm kind of excited about them because I think they'll make our customers happy. One of them is the ability to take templates, user templates that the users have built, and export them to the other events that are under their, let's say, payment account. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, so they can share templates across their events.
These are email templates.
Email templates, yes. Sorry, my world is basically email right now. Second is this QR code component, where basically you can make a QR code for any of your replacement tags or custom data and drop that in an email. So that might make it easier for more flexible for customers, because we have a QR code just for registration ID right now that they can drop in, but there's been there've been requests to have QR codes for other things. So
like you can put in a QR code for like a fundraiser.
Yes, a fundraiser, or you can even your website or whatever. So cool. Or right to the event. But that's in code review. Big thing that I'm working on right now, I'm working on with another developer, is the ability to have your recipient list draw from multiple events under your payment account again. So if you have lots and lots of races that you manage, and you have a new race coming up, and you want to email all the participants that have participated in any of your races, you'll be able to select and filter across all of those events. So that's kind of a big one. That's hopefully going to be released soon. But
yeah, because I think in the past, people would need to have sort of a master list of a CSV.
Yep.
And then when they create the new race, they would have to import that master list as a custom list into every single race. And they have to update that CSV. It's a pain in the butt.
Yep. Hopefully this saves them time. And you can kind of do this with organizational email marketing as well, but we want to bring it down to the race level and then subsequently to the ticketable event level and whatnot.
That's cool. So your world is all emails right now. So that's kind of how a lot of our developers work is, and you can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys get a project and then your life becomes that specific feature for 6 months, a year, whatever it may be. Yeah. So the way kind of our development team works is you have long-term projects, and then you have, I think, what you guys call Monday tasks.
Yes.
So what exactly are Monday tasks, and maybe like what kind of Monday tasks have fallen onto your plate?
A Monday task is something, it should be like a little bite-sized chunk of a task that you should be able to complete within a day, or maybe even half a day. Often these give a lot of value to our customers. And sometimes as a developer, these are little breaks. Like you can be coding on a project and be in it, and you need a little break, or you're waiting on someone. You need an answer from someone, or you're waiting on the UX team to make your stuff look pretty. So that's the perfect time to take on a Monday task. And it also gives you experience. So often my Monday tasks are not in the area of email. They're in a different area of the code, and that allows us to learn more about other areas and how other things are designed. And when you go through the code review process, you're like, oh, there are these other things that exist that I can use. So something I worked on, like an example would be the ticketable events, my ticketable events dashboard. It used to just list all the ticketable events, and it wasn't sorted by, well, the sorting was actually dynamic. I don't know if you remember this. Sometimes the ticketable event will be at the top or the middle of the list. It depended on the last time they edited the event. So I added just some grouping to it and then made it so that the sort was always for the active events. That's ascending order. And then the ones that were in the past, they're kind of in descending order. And then the deleted ones also in descending order, and they're collapsible lists. And so that's a nice little bite-sized task, but it looks nice. And I think it helps the customers out a lot. And they're kind of rewarding. I feel like they're little, like, developer. Sometimes as a developer, when you're in a project and it's taking a while, it's nice to feel like you've accomplished something by I got something out there.
You need the little wins to get you your big wins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then these are assigned, these Monday tasks, they're assigned every week or every 2 weeks, or how does that work?
We're given a lot of, I guess, we're treated like adults here. And so it's on us to pull them. And like, I think we have flexibility as in take them when you want them. So, and even like people don't really assign them to us. We go and think like, I kind of would like to do that. So I'm going to assign that to myself. And if you have questions and you need help, which often will happen, or sometimes a Monday task takes longer than a single Monday. And that has happened to me a lot. And I'm like, oh boy, this is a little bigger than I thought. But there's still always value in it, because that means I probably had to talk to somebody, which means I had to learn more than I thought I would. I thought I maybe already knew this thing, but maybe there was more to know.
And you're pulling these issues from GitHub, right?
From GitHub. So we actually have a project called Monday Tasks, and you can peruse them and see like, okay, this is these, and some of them are rated with a priority. So you can see like, okay, this is medium priority. So maybe I should take this one if I can handle it, and I'll get this one done.
So oftentimes, again, some more behind the scenes for all of our customers is a customer email our support team or our account managers or even our sales team, and they'll have a request, and we'll then put those requests into GitHub, and someone from development team, Bruce, Steven, Ryan, they'll categorize these as Monday tasks. They get into the Monday task queue, and then you guys start pulling from that list, essentially.
Correct. And if I imagine that if something isn't being doesn't go in that list, it gets prioritized specifically to the project. So, but I guess it depends on the size, and that's why they get lumped into that Monday task category. Not that they're not important, because they are. It's just that they're small enough.
There's a finite of time that we have as a company, and then as you guys have as developers. Because you have to prioritize the big projects and then prioritize some of these little wins as well to make sure that we're delivering for our customers, our future customers and current customers.
Yep.
So since you've joined, what do you think has been the greatest strength, or what is a strength of the engineering team?
Our team is very conscientious, and I don't want to admit how old I am and how long I've been in this industry, but I've been in this industry a really, really long time. And I would say hands down, this is the most conscientious and careful company that I've worked for. But with that, there's still a culture that's very collaborative. And I find, also I've been around a long time, programmers often have egos, and sometimes that gets in the way, I think, of progress and being collaborative, but not so much in this environment. In this environment, I feel you have a lot of freedom to ask questions. Nothing's a stupid question. And as soon as you post a question to our Slack, our channel, you'll get a whole bunch of answers back, and somebody's always there to help you. And then also we'll usually follow it up with, do you want to talk? I'm available to talk, to walk you through this. So that collaboration, and also the commitment, not necessarily to deadlines, but mainly to quality. We're going to push this out. It might take us longer than we want, but we're not going to deliver anything that's shoddy.
Right.
There's another word for it, but I won't use it because we're camera. But I think that it's very conscientious down to like our comments should be should not have spelling errors. Everything should be grammatically correct and also easy to navigate. Yeah. For a developer coming in, it should be clear. So as I mentioned, like with Monday tasks, you'll go into different areas of the code, and often it's not so intimidating. It sounds like it would be, but because things are clearly commented, things make sense, and things are organized, and there's a lot of thought behind that.
Yeah. Have you, I mean, not to like name any names, but just like through your experiences, like how often are other companies putting deadlines over quality in terms of like code?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And I think, unfortunately, I know we want to make our customers happy, but I think in the long run, just looking at this pattern, I don't know if it saves time. I think if you deliver something with the goal to meet a deadline, there are going to be mistakes, there are going to be bugs, and then you thrash a bit and you can't go on to the next project where you also want to make customers happy, because now you got to fix what is broken in your previous thing that wasn't perfect. But I feel we don't spend a lot of time thrashing and fixing a lot of, like, there will be bugs, but they're not horrible things that we're up in all hours of the night trying to fix these bugs. So I think, unfortunately, that has been the environment that for a lot of the companies that I've worked for. I've worked for I've worked for Bob before, I've worked for Bruce before, and I knew that part of the reason I came here, at least, and changed my job this late in my life, was because I knew the culture that Bob and Bruce encourages for software development. And it is more toward quality, not toward let's have this huge metric of things that we got done. Let's make sure everything has value and everything's done right. Yep.
I feel like that's always been a strong point of our development team. It's like the freedom to have our developers do their projects, make it their own, and have their own input. From what I've seen, I mean, I've only professionally really worked for like 2 companies. But
don't rub in how young you are, Kevin.
But I feel like I've seen friends that are developers that are like, they get the parameters from their product manager, from their sales team, and it's like, it's this parameter or nothing. And I feel like with our development team, you guys have more freedom you guys have input into what you're doing.
Yes.
Almost essentially is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yes. Input. And also we have, always have assistance. And I feel like we know, like, if you're not the expert in making this business decision, or you're not the expert in for instance, design, like, we have a UX team that helps us like make things look polished and beautiful, and like also function. There's more to just how it looks. It's also how things function, and if they're usable and if they're user friendly. So I actually feel spoiled having the UX team that we have, I can hand them something and be like, this is what it looks like now. I'm really sorry. Can you make this look better and behave better? And they're willing. They're like, yay, give it to us. We'll do it. And then it looks really nice. Yeah. And then you kind of feel, I mean, it is a team effort, but also that's on us. We are given a lot of freedom. That decision to pull in the UX team is on us. It's not like a scheduled thing. Like, here's your meeting with the UX team, and here's your meeting with the requirements team. There's not a lot of meetings, and at least unless necessary for discussing design. And I feel like that is helpful in giving us the maximum amount of time to code.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is there anything else about the engineering team you want to talk about? Like code reviews, any infrastructure stuff or anything like that?
I can talk about code reviews because I think everyone talks about how it's almost an initiation to go through your first code review process here. And it is, but I think it is one of the best things about the company.
So what exactly is a code review for people who don't know?
So a code review is pretty much literally what it says, but for our development team, we have to have 2 levels of code review. So we finish our project, we test it ourselves, and we look at it, and we also build unit tests as well, which are like little automated tests to make sure, like as best we can, that things work correctly. And then we hand it off to another developer, but they're developers, like I guess developers are given a certain level of code review they're allowed to do. And our first level developer will look at our code and also test our code and make suggestions, and then also point out, like, you can try to be perfect, but inevitably there will be something a little weird, and they'll give you feedback, and it's usually it's a kind process. It sounds like it's horrible, but it's not. It's like, oh, what did you think about this, or did you know that this exists here? I think it teaches you, if you aren't used to this and you have to do a code review, how to be constructive in your communication and give feedback. But also, as a developer, you have to be willing to accept that and not take it to heart and realize, like, we all have the same goal. So that's first level code review. After it goes through that and it looks good, we'll submit it to the next level code review, which is we call it the managerial level of code review. And it will get filtered even more. So if you think about that process, we're trying to filter out possible bugs. And so that's having 2 levels of, and it's not just, it's intense, it's thoughtful code review. It's not like, let me just look over your code. Looks good. It is analyzed line by line. That's how it's done through GitHub, line by line code review. And that's why, like, we try to make it, if we're working on a big project, sometimes we'll check in multiple branches just so we don't make the code review for the reviewer so long, because it is that they have to be that attentive. So after that second level code review, sorry, I'm kind of all over the place, it will then get merged and put into production.
So how long, I know obviously it depends on how much code is being updated and changed and how much, but how long on average does a code review take?
Oh, it can take a while, because also your reviewer may be reviewing. So on average, maybe a couple weeks will be that process. Yeah. If it's a bigger project, it might be even longer. It depends. And also, there are less reviewers at the top level. So you can imagine that they're getting a lot more reviews that they have to look at. But if it's something small and short, like those Monday tests, that could be like a few days or within the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think, Bob always says, we're always pushing new code out and pushing updates out, but to give people perspective, while we're doing all that, on a daily basis, that's not like a day old code. That's like, that could have been from a couple weeks ago or whatever. And there's a huge process behind the scenes to get that code to our customer, in front of our customers. So yeah, we're updating it quite often, but there's a huge process. There's a huge workload that needs to be done by not just you as a developer, but also all of the code reviewers and everything like that.
Yep. Always 3 developers have their hands in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so that's a good little background for some of our customers to know. Cool. Well, we appreciate you taking the time and answering some of our questions, giving the people behind the scenes look at the development team.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yep.